6% of your salary that is deducted. So 3% is taken from you, the employee, and your employer matches it with another 3%. So in terms of someone who is working with an organization, we would call the monthly deduction the SO1. So this is filed every month. So this is how it is done if it is that you're working with an organization. And every year, at the end of the year, your employer will file over the returns to the tax office, and this process is called filing an SO2. For persons who are self-employed, they will file their SO4 at the tax office. Or if it is, depending on the nature within which they are employed, if it is that the person is self-employed on a smaller scale and they're working within the minimum wage, if they wish to, they can contribute using the stamp card. I did not bring any of the stamp cards with me tonight, but some of you might be familiar with the stamp cards. It's a little booklet, and you would visit the post office and you would buy the little stamps there and you would paste them in the book. So for 2024, the stamp card will be 13,250 for the entire year. We're still new into 2025, so we haven't gotten the figure yet for 2025. But for 2020 up to 2023, it was 13,000 for the entire year. So in contributing to the NIS, because most persons hopefully would have known this, so the whole point of contributing to the NIS isn't just to turn over your money to the government, but at the same time you will be hoping to get some benefits back from the NIS. So this is why we would encourage persons, especially self-employed persons, because if it is that you are employed to an organization, they should automatically be deducting these statutory deductions from your salary. But a lot of persons might not know that if it is that they are self-employed, they can actually file these returns for themselves. So if it is that you have been contributing over the years and you have gotten to the pension age, which is age 65, at that point now, having met all of the requirements, which is 10, the minimum requirement is 10 full years in the system, which is equivalent to 520 weeks. So in order to get a monthly benefits for the rest of your life, you need to contribute to the NIS for at least 10 full years. So that is for the retirement benefits. But what a lot of persons might not know as well is the NIS can cover persons who, for example, if someone gets sick to the point that they can no longer work and they have gotten to age 65, they can apply for early pension. So we call this pension invalidity pension. But the sickness would have to be chronic to the point it can no longer work, and of course you would have to get a doctor to verify this illness. Also, if it is that, let us say someone is not contributing to the NIS, but they have a spouse who is contributing to the NIS, and their spouse qualifies for a pension, they can apply for what is called a dependent spouse benefit. So that person will in turn, the pensioner will in turn get a little extra payments on their pension benefits to sustain their partner. You also have a benefit that is called the widow/widowed benefit. So this is targeted to the family members. So if it is that someone has a partner again who was contributing to the NIS, or they were getting a pension, or even if they were not getting a pension, let's just say, for example, the person passed away before they got to pension age, but they met the minimum requirements to get the benefits. And if it is that you're not sure if they met the minimum requirements, you can always visit our office, the nearest office to you. The office in Hanover is located at Lucy. So this is across from the police station. So if it is that you're not sure if the person needs to visit our office, or you can always call our office. We will check out the information board for you, and we'll be able to tell you the person that you know requirements. So even if it is that the person was not yet a pensioner when they passed away, but they met the minimum requirements, their spouse can come in and apply for the benefits. It also applies to family members. If it is that you have a family member, you know that both parents were contributing to the NIS. Let's say, for example, you're the guardian of a child, and both parents were contributing to the NIS, but they have both passed away. We have a benefit also that you can apply for called the orphans benefits. So the person who is the guardian of the child will have to come in and express that they're the guardian, bring in the necessary documents so that they can apply for that benefit. And they will receive that benefit up until the child turns 18 years old. I should note as well, the widow's benefit, if it is that the spouse has not reached the age of 55 at the time that their spouse died, they would only receive the benefit for 1 year. If it is that they have reached, let us say that they have a child with the spouse, if it is that they are not at the age of 55 when the child turns 18 years old, they would only receive the benefit up until the child turns 18. Let us say that the child turns 18 and the spouse is 55 years old, they will receive that benefit for the rest of their life or until they remarry or enter into a common relationship. We also have a benefit known as the special child's benefit, which is quite similar to the orphan's benefit, but it is geared towards persons, if it is that the child's mother is deceased and the child's mother was contributing to the NIS and the child's father's whereabouts are unknown, then the guardian of the child can always visit the office and apply for that benefit as well. So the process of applying for the benefits are pretty straightforward. You can always visit our website, Ministry of Labor and Social Security.gov.gm. You can always visit the website, go on the section that says forms, and you can download the various application forms there. Or if it is that you don't have access to the website, you can always visit the various NIS office to you. You can pick up an application form. Most of the benefits, they only require your birth certificate, your ID, your TRN, your NIS, and I say NIS, and I'm going to stress that the person has to be registered to the NIS. And if it is that the person is married, you're going to need your marriage certificate. If it is that you're applying for one of the death benefits, you're going to need the death certificate for the deceased person. And you're also going to need proof of your banking information with a commercial bank. So, if it is that anyone has any questions, it's a short presentation. The information is pretty straightforward. So if it is that anyone has any questions at this point, you can feel free to ask. And I will be happy to clarify anything with you. Alright, so let us see. Alright, so you will be applying for the benefit in the terms of you have a deceased spouse. The spouse was contributing. So this is for persons who are applying for the benefit, the widow's benefits. So I'm clarifying where I said in terms of if the spouse who is still living reaches the age of 55 years old. So let us say that you have two persons who are married spouse who is still living is age 30, just for example, and they don't have any children. So that the spouse who is living will only receive the benefit for 1 year. If it is that they do have a child or do have children, more than one child, they will receive the benefit up until when the youngest child reaches age 18. If it is that when the youngest child reaches age 18 and the living spouse is not yet age 55, they will only receive the benefit up until the child turns 18. If it is that when the child turns 18 and the spouse who is living is age 55 or older, at that point, they will receive the benefit for the rest of their life, or until they remarry, or until they enter into a common law relationship. Okay. Any other questions?
Then they would get the benefit for life.
They will get the benefit for life. As long as it is that they can prove that they are married, which they would have to submit the marriage certificate. If it is that they were not married, but they were in a common law relationship for more than 5 years, we have a form at the office that the person can collect. It is basically a form that they would have to bring to persons in their community, and those persons will basically sign to confirm that they know John Brown and Mary Brown to be in a common law relationship for X amount of years. And of course, you get a GP to certify that form.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Anything needed to be clarified?
You also said something about sick leave. If the sick, some disability benefit, something like that. So if I am working and I become ill, able to work, then I can apply for benefits.
So, yes.
Is it that I have to be totally disabled?
Yes, because the whole point of the invalidity pension, it is early pension. So pension age is 65. The retirement benefit is for persons who have reached the pension age. But the invalidity pension is a special condition. This condition being that the person is critically ill. So remember, the whole point of the retirement benefit is that you're basically stating that you are retired. So if it is that you're going to apply for the benefits before retirement age, you are stating that you are sick to the point that you can no longer work. So of course, you can't only state this, but you would also have to get a doctor to verify that the condition is severe to the point that you can no longer work. So it is a case that, for example, you got injured on the job, and you also have a benefit for that as well, an injury on the job benefit. So if it is that you're registered to the NIS and you suffered an injury on the job, or the injury has gotten to the point that it is now a disability, you can apply for that benefit. So the disablement benefit is different from the invalidity benefit, because some persons can still be disabled, but they're still able to work. So, but for the invalidity pension, that is early pension, so that is for persons who are no longer able to work, and the doctor would have to verify that.
This question, if somebody is over 80 years old and he's not getting no pension or nothing, and he was
it 80 or 80?
over 80, and he over 80, right? And he don't have a birth certificate, and yet he was paying NIS, he still have benefits.
So I should have probably prefaced by saying this. In order to get a NIS card, we would need your birth certificate and your TRN or contributing to the NIS, then as I said, there's a minimum requirement that you should meet in order to qualify for the benefit, and the minimum requirement is 10 full years. Otherwise, 520 weeks. So once it is that the person fulfills that requirement, then they should be able to apply for the benefit. No, you would need a birth certificate. So that's what I'm saying. The fact that the person has an NIS card means that they would have had a birth certificate at some point. So that person will have to apply for a new birth certificate. Because remember, it's a government benefit, so we're going to need your documents. So for the ministry requirements, what we use as proof of age would be a birth certificate or a passport. So it has to be one or the other. So if it is that the person lost their birth certificate, they would have to apply for a new one. Because we would definitely need those documents. So someone is asking the question, can a person pay their own NIS and is not employed? So yes, we would call this person a voluntary contributor. But in this case, the person would have had to have been contributing to the NIS beforehand. So they would have to be contributing for at least 3 years beforehand. And if it is that they're not working now, they can apply to become a voluntary contributor. But at some point throughout their adult career, they would have to have been working. Working and contributing to the NIS. So if it is that they're employed and they were working with an organization, the organization should have been deducting those statutory deductions from them and paying it over to the tax office, or if it is that they were self-employed and they were filing the returns on their own, otherwise known as filing the SO4 at the tax office, or if it is that they were paying the stamp cards for themselves. So they would have to be working at some point in their life, contributing for themselves at the tax office. No, what it is, so if it is that someone is contributing to NIS, we would have that information on our system. So once it is that you come to the office and you provide us with your information, we would be able to look up your name in the system and we would be able to see that you were contributing for some period of time. Or usually, whether it is that you're contributing via stamp card or you're contributing at the tax office, they would always provide you with some form of receipt, some form of proof that you were filing returns for yourself. So if it is that which is not often, but if it is for some reason we don't see the information on our end, you would usually have the receipt to show for yourself that it was being paid at some point. So we would also ask you to provide that receipt if it is that for whatever reason we're not seeing it on our end. But that information, once it is that you are contributing to the NIS, we would always see it on our end.
For like 4 or 5 years. What is it that I'm entitled to on the time?
Alright, so if it is that you have not met the minimum requirement, which is 10 years, so that minimum requirement is to ensure that you get the benefit for the rest of your life. So if it is that you have not met that requirement, but you have contributed for more than 3 full years, you can apply for what is known as a grant. So that grant is a one-time benefit. It's a one-time payout, and that is it. So presently that grant is $60,000.
There's a question.
Sure.
I was working at trial. I don't get no benefit at trial. They tell me don't have no money there. And then they rob me, thief me. So I mean, I have anybody, they own that, they owe many years now. To me, and benefit. They can't do that anymore.
Okay, so in a case like that, what we usually also advise us to do. Are you finished with your question? Are you finished with your question?
Then,
Alright, so you're saying that you worked with a company at some point and at the point when you retired you were not able to claim a benefit. Alright, so what we usually advise persons as well is when it is that they are working, not only wait until when you get to pension age to come in and verify your contributions. Even while you're working, you can always come in, check up on your contributions, see if it is that your employer is paying over those deductions for you. Because in a case like that, if it is that you're working somewhere and you suspect that your employer might not be paying those contributions for you, when it is that you come to the NIS office, we can always send out an NIS inspector to verify that information with the company. But in a case, which is what I was saying before, if it is that we are not seeing the information on our end, which if it is that we will reach out to an institution, you're working for a company and they're not paying it over, if it is that we're not seeing it on our end, we usually also ask the applicant, the person who's coming in to apply for their pension, if it is that they have basically any proof to show that it is that they were working with that company. So we will ask persons for a job letter or a contribution letter from the establishment, or the person has any pay slips that they got during the time of their employment, they can always bring those documents in when they're applying for their pension. But unfortunately, there have been a lot of cases where persons probably worked with an institution. Unfortunately, when it's time for them to come in to apply for those benefits, sometimes the institution has closed down, or sometimes when it is that we go out to search for those records, the records are so badly damaged that the information on it we can barely pick up what is on it. So usually in cases like that, we try to encourage persons as well. Whatever records it is that you got over the years when you're working, try to hold on to those records. Because especially during the time when everything might not be digital, you might still have companies who use paperwork, things can get destroyed over the years. So it would be great if you can also hold on to your documents as proof that they were paying returns for you during that period that you were working there. She can still take them in. If it is that you have the proof that you were employed there, so if it is that you came in before, tried to apply for a benefit, we checked our system, we were not able to find the contributions, but you have the proof at your home, the pay slips that you got over the years, or the contribution letter that you'd have gotten from your employer, you can always bring that in, and we will submit an application for you.
I can apply now. I'm now working at the garbage truck. I'm planning that 2020. You know, go to the office up there in Mountain Bay. And then I go there. That the younger up there. And it started when we get to Earth, my old bad guy gave me something, gave me some money. I tell you that when they die, they will start to do the money to me. And so, do not do that. Really don't have time. And the come out and go and open the old man and money. And the old man had money. And somebody had no, the money is there. And they want to give to
Okay, so as I said, the NIS is based on the contributions. So once it is that we pick up contributions for you in the system and we see where it is that you're qualified for a benefit, we're not going to prevent you from getting a benefit. So it is based on your contributions. As I said, if it is that for some reason we're not able to pick up the benefits in our system, we always encourage you, whatever documentations that you have to prove that you were employed during that period, you can always bring in the documents. We won't deny you your benefits if it is that you're entitled to it. Any other questions? So the question was if the person, if they have a spouse and they come in, provide the information on their spouse if they will search for the document. So as I said, once it is that you come in to apply for your benefits, we are going to search the computer system. We will exhaust all needs. So we search our computer system, we search our files, and we also visit the establishment that the person worked to verify the information. If it is that we cannot find the information, it is at that point now that we would reach out to the person and ask them if it is that they have any proof. But as I said, NIS it is based on the contributions. So if it is that we have exhausted all needs and we have not obtained any contributions, then it would be under that condition under which we would be able to give out the benefit. We would need the proof, we would need some form of documentation. So without the proof, without the documentation, we would not be able to unfortunately pay out a benefit. But a part of our job requirement, we would have exhausted all needs in order to obtain the contributions. It means that we even have to forward the application to another parish office for them to obtain the contributions elsewhere, especially if the person works as a company that has their head office in another parish. We also forward the file to the other parish so that they can obtain the contributions. But as I said, especially a few years back, we have a lot of, our filings were done manually. We use paper. So unfortunately, sometimes those papers will get destroyed for whatever reasons. Sometimes the information is illegible when we go through them. So, which is why we ask sometimes for persons to provide us with the assistance if it is that they have any payslips. And some persons keep their payslips. So if it is that they have any payslips at home to prove that they were employed there, and that is usually a last resort. After we have exhausted all of our needs, that is when we would ask persons to provide some proof that they have it. Any more questions?
The question down here. Persons would like to know if you would have any information on the PATH program.
Okay, so we have the Ministry of Labor and Social Security umbrella. I work particularly with the NIS department, so I would only be able to provide you with minimal information, just a basic knowledge of the PATH program. If it is that anyone has any questions pertaining to any of the departments that we have, I can always provide you with a contact number for the Hanover branch, and that number is 956-2255. So any queries you have within any of the departments, you can always call us at our office and ask your questions. So that's 956-2255.
incentive to fishermen as well?
Okay, so as I would have said, it is based on the contribution. So if it is that you have someone who is contributing to the NIS as a self-employed person, which fisher folks can, so if it is that they're contributing to the NIS, then, and they meet the minimum requirements, they can always apply for their benefits, their retirement benefits, or any other benefits that I listed above, as long as they meet the minimum requirements, which is 10 years. If you're talking in terms of business grants, that is one of the benefits that will be under the PATH program, not NIS. So NIS is based on contribution. So if it is that you contribute to the scheme, these are benefits that you can get back. Mrs. Miller, you have a question? Compulsory contributory scheme, so you would have to be contributing to NIS in order to get something back from NIS. So if it is that someone, usually if it is that someone is, they are at pension age or older, and they don't qualify for an NIS pension, under the PATH program, they can always apply for the PATH benefits, or we have a new pension program under the PATH, which is called the Social Pension Program. So this is for persons who are 75 and older. If it is that they do not qualify for NIS pension, then they will not be denied. They can apply for the Social Pension Program, and they will not be denied. So there isn't really any requirement. It's just for them to bring their birth certificate, their ID, and their TRA. So there is no scheme that they will have to be contributing to, so to say. The age is 75, so once it is that you reach age 75, you can apply for the Social Pension Program. Okay, yes. So one of the benefits of being a pensioner, you get a health card. It's called the NI Gold card. So what it is that you have met the minimum requirements to apply for your benefit, for your retirement benefits, or your equality benefit, you would get an NI Gold card. It's just like a regular health card. We have a question at the back.
Yes.
Once it is that you're an NIS pensioner, you will get an NI Gold card, so it's a health card. You'll get a health card once it is that you're a pensioner with the NIS.
So if the gold card have a specific age, even though you are a senior citizen?
So pension age is 65 years old, so once it is that you qualify for your pension, you're getting a pension, one of the benefits of receiving your pension is that you get the health card once you're attained age 65.
So that's the reason.
You're an NIS pensioner?
Yes.
Alright, so you're supposed to have a health card. Once it is that you apply for the benefit within 3 months of...
before, but I don't have the gold card.
Repeat that, please.
I have the surgery board, but not the gold card that they are talking about.
Alright, so you're supposed to receive a health card. So within 3 months of getting your payments, you're supposed to receive a health card in the mail. Usually if it is that the health card is at the post office for some time and it goes uncollected, they will send it back. So if in a case that you're a pensioner and you have not received the card, you would have to reach out to our office. But you're supposed to get a card, a health card, once you're in a NIS pension.
So I'd have to come into the office and request a gold card.
Yes, or if you like, I can take down your information before I leave.
not through the minute.
You have the card, you could look at it, it's marked NIO. It is a statutory card, it is marked NIO. That is the card you will cover.
My look.
Look at it.
So when you go home, you can look at the card to see if it says NI Gold. If not, I can still take down your information before we leave. But once it is that your NIS pensioner, you're supposed to get a health card.
That's a very often question after.
Okay, so the question was if at age 65 you're still employed, can you apply for your retirement benefits? So we have what is called the retirement age and the deemed retirement age. So if it is that you reach the age of 65 and you're not yet retired, no, you won't be able to apply for your retirement benefits because you are still working. However, if it is that you have gotten to the deemed retirement age, which is 70, and you're still working at 70, yes, you can apply for your benefits. Because by law, if it is that you're still working at age 70, your employer should not be filing returns for you still. But if it is that you are working at age between age 65 and 69, and the whole point of the retirement benefit is that you are retired. So if it is that when you're doing the application, you would have to give us a start date and end date with your institution that you're working. So if it is that you're still working, you wouldn't be able to provide us with the end date as to when you start working at the establishment. And even if it is that you do provide us with an end date, as I said earlier, if it is that you're contributing to the scheme, this is information that we have access to. So if it is that you say that you have stopped working and your employer is still filing returns for you, of course that is information that we have access to. So we will be able to see that you're still working. So your benefit will be stopped. You're welcome.
I'd like to know if this is the card service to prove your life.
Yes, so this is the NI Gold card. So this is what the card looks like. So it actually has NI Gold written on it. So this is the card. So once it is at your pension, as I said earlier, you will receive your health card in the mail. So within getting the first 3 payments, monthly payments, the card will be sent out to the post office that you would have given us at the time when you did the application. So you can always check the post office for the health card. Also, once it is that you're a pensioner, within 3 months of you receiving your payments, you will receive a life certificate at the post office. It's important that that document is filled out and sent back to the office so that you can continue receiving your benefits. So that is proof of life. So that document is sent out every 3 to 4 months. So it's important that it is filled out and returned on time so that the pension benefits will not be suspended.
Question here. If a person
If a person is working for 2 years or less, right? And they were contributing, but they want to contribute on their own now, is it possible?
Alright, so as I said earlier, you have to be contributing for at least 3 years. But if it is that you still want to do the application, it is based on the discretion of our head of department. If it is that they want to give you the special permission to be able to apply as a voluntary contributor. So if it is that you haven't met that requirements, but you still wish to do the application, we won't prevent you from doing the application. So you can still try to do the application. But the requirement is 3 years. Alright, so based on the question, it would be, the context of that question would be a voluntary. So that is for someone who is not working. So the voluntary contribution, no, this is for someone who is not working at all, but at some point they were. So they would have to be working for at least 3 years, but for whatever reason they are no longer working. But they haven't reached age 65 yet. So it is up to them as to why they stopped working. But they would have to be working at some point for 3 years in order to apply to contribute to the NIS voluntarily. So that is the question that I was answering. But the voluntary contributions, it is the stamp card. So it would be through the stamp card that they would be filing their return, so to speak. It's just that for the stamp card, that is usually geared towards persons who are self-employed, who are earning minimum wage, or persons who are domestic workers. But in the case of the voluntary worker, at the moment when they want to do the application, they are not working. But they would have to have been working for a period of 3 years beforehand.
But such person would not be applicable for a pension until 65.
If it is that they're contributing for a minimum of 10 years, then the pension, the retirement benefit will be 65. But as I said earlier, if it is that someone has a chronic illness and they can no longer work, then they don't have to wait until 65. They will just need to get the application form filled out by a doctor, verifying that their illness is so chronic to the point that they can no longer work. So they can apply for their benefits earlier than age 65. Any more questions? Anything that needs clarity? The NI Gold card, it is a yearly benefit. So just like a regular health card, if it is that you use all of the money that is on the card, then that's just it. So every year they would put money on the card, so to speak. So it's just for you to be wise in terms of how you use the card. It works just like a regular health card. Any more questions? Or if it is that some persons feel comfortable asking me questions afterwards, you can feel free to do so. I also brought with me some brochures and a few application forms. So if it is that anyone is nearing pension age and they wish to collect a form tonight, they can do so. Or if it is that you need a brochure within your own time, read you 2 different benefits that you can get. You can feel free to collect a brochure as well. Okay, so thank you for having me.
Let's give Mr. Moya another round of applause, please. And I'm sure that all of us have learned something tonight about the NIS. And if you still want to know more, then you can go into the office in Lucy. The office is right where the Scotia Bank used to be. That's the building where the NIS office is. Also the park office is inside here too. We want to thank Ms. Young for coming to us tonight and informing us and enlightening us on the aspects of the NIS.